2021 has been one of the most controversial years in Formula One history. Both Max Verstappen and Sir Lewis Hamilton had heroic races, and either driver would have been a worthy world champion at the end of months of tiresome races. But the result was taken out of the driver's hands to some extent, being controlled and influenced fully by the FIA and Michael Masi. And if you thought this was a one-off from the FIA, boy were you wrong. In this video, we will be uncovering FIA's worst mistakes from the 2021 season. Make sure you stay till the end because this video will definitely make you question the sport's future under the current regulations. In-race lobbying. Last season, one of the features made accessible to fans in an effort to liven up the action while providing behind-the-scenes access was the ability to listen in on radio discussions between teams and race control. We heard Red Bull and Mercedes sports directors effectively bargaining with Michael Masi ahead of the race restart in Saudi Arabia, with the FIA's race director agreeing exactly where Max Verstappen would line up on the grid. Things were brought to a whole new level, though, when we heard Toto Wolff and Christian Horner make demands with the race director. As the dispute over the race continues, Ross Brawn has confirmed that the line of communication between team executives and race control will be removed from next season. "We will stop this contact next year," he tells Automotor and Sport. "It's unacceptable that team bosses put Michael under such pressure during the race. It's like the coaches negotiating with the referee in football," he added. While the news is encouraging, the announcement of the impending ban should have come from the FIA, not Brawn. Inconsistency within the racetrack. Track limits have been a hotly debated issue in equal measure. Currently, race directors and stewards simply watch select corners of a racetrack to see if cars run off track and gain an advantage. In some corners, the white line is regarded as the boundary, while some consider the red and white curbs as well. This inconsistency can be simply eliminated if the white line that defines the racetrack is regarded as the limit at each circuit. It should not matter whether they gain or lose an advantage. Going over the white line on the track in any situation should result in the deletion of a lap time. Moreover, the discrepancy of the rules being applied for track limit infringement must be investigated. A point demonstrated by Fernando Alonso's maneuver in Turn 1 in Sochi, where he purposefully strayed off the track, followed the defined permissible path to rejoin the circuit but earned an advantage, lining the runoff zones with gravel where possible, or abrasive materials like those used at Paul Ricard to shed tires should be enough of a deterrent. The Belgian Grand Prix. Weather conditions are something that no one can control. The incident during the rained-out 2021 Belgian Grand Prix, on the other hand, should have been dealt with responsibly. A 3-lap procession behind the safety car, followed by driver classification based on qualifying, is an unacceptable race result. Like the final classification rule at the end of a race, half-championship points for such an incident should only be awarded if the drivers complete a minimum of a quarter of race distance. The red flag situation. For years, drivers have been disputing the rule that allows riders to change their tires in the pit lane during a red flag situation. Many drivers, teams, and former champions have felt that the rule is more detrimental than beneficial. It puts a driver at a huge disadvantage if they take their mandated pit stop under regular racing conditions, only to have the race red flagged after an incident and a competitor changing tires with no risk. In the event of slow punctures caused by debris on the track, the rule may be set with safety in mind. Allowing drivers to take their mandatory pit stop and gain an advantage, on the other hand, is completely unethical. It is a rule that must be changed in order to create a level playing field. The turbo hybrid era. The turbo hybrid era was detrimental to Formula One, with the regulations on the cars resulting in monotonous racing with only the DRS system able to impact races and the constant domination of Mercedes cars throughout the period becoming tiresome. However, the remedy to a boring and dreary era in a sport is not to try to fix it with antibiotics, which provide a short-term solution but cause long-term damage. The 2022 rule changes were a brilliant concept, especially since the reinstatement of ground effect means that dirty air is no longer as destructive to passing vehicles, and DRS is no longer required to make races entertaining. Aside from Mercedes accountants, no one will miss the turbo hybrid era. Allowing lapped cars to overtake. The decision by F1 race control to allow lapped vehicles to overtake on the final lap of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix led to a grandstand finish for the championship battle, with title rivals Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen lined up alongside one another for the final lap of the season finale. As a result of this disputed judgment, the Dutchman passed the Brit on the final lap to win his first Formula One title. The decision by race control to allow Max Verstappen to overtake 5 lapped vehicles prompted an investigation into Article 48.12 of the FIA regulations, which Mercedes F1 disputed. The article states, any cars that the leader has lapped will be required to pass the cars on the lead lap and the safety car. However, the race director, Michael Masi, had only allowed 5 lapped vehicles to overtake: Lando Norris, Fernando Alonso, Esteban Ocon, Charles Leclerc, and Sebastian Vettel. Consequently, some viewers flocked to social media to call Masi out for misusing his power. Stop the manipulation. Sports, in general, are quite routine, as we fans primarily watch them for the emotions they provoke in us. When we feel that what we are witnessing isn't real, all of those emotions fade and our interest wanes. Major League Baseball has historically witnessed a decline in attendance and viewership whenever a drug issue has struck. That's why nobody watches highlights of Barry Bonds' home runs today. Professional wrestling is the same. Even though viewers understood the results were predetermined, they were interested in the people involved and the authenticity of events, and hence attendances skyrocketed from the 1970s until the late 1990s. It's no secret that as the new millennium arrived, and wrestling stopped portraying itself as a serious art form, with members of the industry publicly demonstrating how fake it was, fan interest fell off a cliff. To be interested in a sporting endeavor, people must first believe in it. And after last year, it's impossible to believe in Formula One. The finale of the 2021 season was excellent, almost too perfect for the sake of the Netflix docuseries Drive to Survive. It will draw attention to the sport, with new fans believing it is usually so dramatic. But how will F1 maintain that attention? Do they plan on having a dramatic finish on the final day next year? When the dust had settled on the season at the end of the day, the efforts of Hamilton and Verstappen were rendered meaningless, with the championship determined not on skill or strategy, but on a race director's decision based simply on drama. The debate between letting them race and must follow the rules to the letter has been left to Michael Masi, the Formula One race director. The Australian faces a tremendous and tough challenge. Masi needs to make decisions almost instantly while cars are speeding around at 200 miles per hour. It is impossible to have a rule for every probable situation. However, the rules would need to be revised based on experience for the FIA and Formula One to move forward. The drivers must be treated fairly during races, and this must be done consistently. The 2021 showdown between Red Bull and Mercedes and their drivers will be hailed as one of the finest in Formula One history. It's a shame it wasn't decided in the most objective manner imaginable. So what do you think? Has the FIA been making too many mistakes as of late? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Also, if you're new to this channel, subscribe and click on the notification bell to get notified when we upload more content.